I walk through my own front door, still hunched over from the stitches in my abdomen, and my brother doesn't even look up from his phone. Then he does. And the first words out of his mouth aren't, "Are you okay?" They're, "Nice of you to finally come home. Quit faking it and get dinner on the table this second." 4 days in the hospital. Emergency surgery. A ruptured appendix that nearly killed me. And this is what's waiting. But here's the thing. Derek doesn't see the man standing right behind me. And when he does, his face goes white. My name is Stella. I'm 23 years old. If you're watching this, please subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. To understand how I ended up here, I need to take you back to the day my mom called and asked me to help my family, just for a little while. I'm 19, just signed a lease on a one-bedroom apartment 10 minutes from campus. Nothing fancy, thin walls, a radiator that clangs at night, a kitchen barely big enough for one person. But it's mine. I pay for it with 2 part-time jobs and what's left of my student loans. Then my mom calls. "Derek lost his job again," she says. Her voice does that thing, half sigh, half accusation, like it's already my problem. "He just needs a place for a few months. You have that apartment now." My brother is 23 at the time, 4 years older than me. He got fired from a warehouse gig for showing up late too many times. Mom says it's bad luck. I say it's a pattern, but I don't say that to her. "He'll pay half the rent," she promises. "I raised you two alone after the divorce. You know that, Stella. When I ask for something, it's because I have no one else to ask. So I say yes, because that's what you do when the woman who worked 3 jobs to keep the lights on asks you for something. You say yes. You don't calculate. You don't negotiate. You just open the door." Derek moves in on a Sunday, drops 2 garbage bags of clothes on my couch and says, "This'll work." First month, he gives me $200. I cover the rest. Second month, 100. Third month, nothing. When I ask, he shrugs. "I'm between things. I'll catch up." I call Mom. "He said he's been paying you directly," I tell her, "that you'd forward it to me." She pauses, just a beat too long. "He's going through a rough patch, sweetheart. Don't push him." The money never comes. Not that month, not the next. But the arrangement, that stays. 6 months pass. Derek is still on my couch, except it's not really my couch anymore. His gaming console sits where my textbooks used to be. His sneakers line the hallway. His friends come over on weeknights and drink beer until 2 in the morning while I'm trying to sleep before a 7 a.m. shift. I graduate, get accepted into an internship at a logistics company outside of town. The pay is low, barely above minimum, but it's a foot in the door. I need sleep. I need quiet. I need the kitchen counter clear so I can meal prep for the week. Instead, I come home to dishes piled in the sink, takeout boxes on the stove, and Derek stretched across the couch watching something loud. "Hey," he says without looking up. "What's for dinner?" It starts like that, casual, like a joke. But jokes stop being funny when they happen every single night. I cook because it's easier to make 2 plates. Then it becomes expected. Then it becomes required. If I don't cook, Derek calls Mom. Mom calls me. "He says you're making things difficult," she says. "Just make him a plate, Stella. It's not that hard." I start to feel like a guest in my own apartment. My name is on the lease. My money pays every bill. My groceries fill the fridge. But the space, the air, the noise, the rhythm of the place belongs to Derek. One night I open the mail. 3 overdue bills, internet, electric, water, all in my name. Derek was supposed to handle those months ago. He told me he did. He lied. I sit at the kitchen table, hold the stack of envelopes, and wonder how a few months became my entire life. I confront Mom on a Tuesday evening. "You told me Derek was paying you $400 a month," I say, "for family expenses. You said you'd send it my way." Silence. Then, "Your brother is struggling, Stella." "That's not what I asked. Is he paying you or not?" More silence. I already know the answer. I call Derek next. "Mom says you're paying her rent money. Are you?" He laughs. Actually laughs. "She told you that?" "Nah, she said I could stay for free. Said you were cool with it." So there it is. Mom told Derek I agreed to let him live rent-free. She told me Derek was paying her. Neither version was true. The only constant was me, writing checks, buying groceries, scrubbing pans, saying nothing. But here's the part that burns. I also send Mom $300 a month, a family fund, she calls it. Started when I got my first real paycheck. Just a little something to help your mother out. I never questioned where it went because questioning felt like betrayal. I try to bring it up, carefully. Mom, what exactly do you use the 300 for? She cries, right on cue. After everything I sacrificed, working double shifts, skipping meals so you two could eat, this is how you repay me? And just like that, the conversation is over. Because how do you argue with someone who reminds you she starved so you wouldn't? How do you hold a boundary when the other person holds your guilt? You don't. At least I didn't. Not then. I hang up. I send the 300. I cook Derek's dinner. And I push the anger so deep it doesn't have a name anymore. Just a weight I carry everywhere. Fast forward. 4 years since Derek moved in. I'm 23 now, working full-time as an intern at Bellmark Logistics. My supervisor is a man named Adrian Holt, operations director, mid-30s, sharp, quiet, the kind of person who notices things without announcing it. I'm good at my job, better than good. But I'm running on fumes. I've lost weight I didn't need to lose. My sleep is broken. I get headaches that start behind my eyes and don't leave for days. And for 2 weeks now, a dull ache has been sitting low in my abdomen. It comes and goes. I ignore it. Because who's going to cook for Derek if I'm out sick? Who's going to pay the electric bill? Who's going to hold everything together? My best friend Sarah, she's a nurse at County General, catches me wincing at lunch. Stell, you need to get that checked. It's just stress. You've been saying that for 2 weeks. Let me drive you to the ER. I'm fine. She gives me a look that says she doesn't believe me but won't push. Not yet. At work, Adrian pauses by my desk. You keep holding your side, he says. Not a question. I'm fine, I say again. The word is starting to taste like a lie. That night, I'm in the bathroom brushing my teeth when the pain hits, sharp, sudden, like something tearing inside me. I double over. My knees hit tile. My vision goes gray. I hear Derek in the next room. The TV is loud. He heard me fall. I know he did, because the floor shook. He bangs on the door once. You good? I'm trying to watch something. I lie on the bathroom floor, phone in my hand, and call Sarah. Sarah calls 911 before I finish my second sentence. The paramedics arrive in 14 minutes. Derek opens the front door in sweatpants and a stained t-shirt, looks at the 2 EMTs in the stretcher and says, "Does this really need to be so loud? It's almost midnight." They find me on the bathroom floor, curled on my side, barely conscious. One of them says something about my pulse being too fast. They load me onto the stretcher. I see the ceiling of my apartment slide past, water stain near the kitchen, the light fixture I replaced myself last winter. Derek watches from the couch, doesn't stand up, doesn't grab my hand, doesn't ask where they're taking me. At the hospital, the surgeon tells Sarah what she already suspected: ruptured appendix, peritonitis setting in. Another few hours and we'd be looking at sepsis. I go into surgery at 1:30 in the morning. When I wake up, Sarah is in the chair beside me, still in her scrubs from her own shift that ended hours ago. "Derek?" I whisper. She shakes her head. He hasn't called. Over the next 4 days, I lie in a hospital bed with a drain in my side and an IV in my arm. Sarah visits every day. My coworkers send a card. Adrian emails me personally. "Don't think about work. Your position is safe. Heal first." My mother calls once. Sarah answers because I'm asleep. "How is she?" Sarah asks, hopeful. But Mom doesn't ask about the surgery, doesn't ask about the diagnosis. Instead, she says, "Tell Stella to call Derek. He hasn't had a proper meal in 2 days." Sarah hangs up without responding. When she tells me later, she doesn't editorialize. She just holds my hand. She doesn't have to say anything. We both know what it means. Day 3. I'm sitting up now, which counts as progress. The drain is out. The IV stays. My abdomen feels like someone rearranged my organs and forgot to put everything back. Sarah brings my laptop so I can check a few emails. Not because the company needs me, but because staring at the ceiling is starting to feel like drowning. There's a message from Adrian. Team's handling everything. Focus on recovery. No rush. Short, professional, kind without being soft. That's him. Sarah sits on the edge of the bed. She's been uncharacteristically quiet all morning. I know that look. She's deciding whether to say something. Just say it, I tell her. She folds her hands, exhales. Stell, Derek hasn't texted you once. Not one message. Your mom hasn't come. You almost died in your bathroom, and the only people here are me and a card from your coworkers. I stare at the window. There's a tree outside with new leaves. I focus on that instead of the pressure building behind my sternum. I know, I say. You could have died, she says. Quieter now. And they're worried about dinner. The silence between us stretches thin, not uncomfortable, just heavy, like something is settling into place. Can you do me a favor? I say. Anything. Go to my apartment. Top drawer of my desk. There's a folder, the one with the blue tab. My lease agreement. Bring it. Sarah blinks. She doesn't ask why. She just picks up her keys and says, I'll be back in an hour. After she leaves, I lie back down and look at the ceiling again. But this time I'm not drowning. I'm planning. 30 days. That's what the law says. 30 days notice for an unauthorized occupant. I close my eyes and start counting. Day 4. The doctor signs my discharge papers at 10 in the morning. He's serious when he tells me the rules. No lifting over 5 pounds, no prolonged standing, no strenuous activity for at least 2 weeks. If you feel sharp pain, fever, or anything unusual, you come straight back. I nod. I've been given 3 prescriptions: antibiotics, painkillers, something for inflammation. Sarah was supposed to pick me up, but 10 minutes ago she texted, ER pileup, 3-car accident, can't leave, I'm so sorry. Then another text, 2 minutes later. Adrian said he can take you. He has the morning free. Is that okay? I hesitate. This is my boss's boss. But it's also a 15-minute drive, and the alternative is a taxi I can barely afford. Okay, I type back. Adrian pulls up in a dark gray sedan at 11 sharp. He's in a button-down, sleeves rolled to the elbow, no tie. He opens the passenger door without a word and takes my hospital bag from my hand before I can protest. How are you feeling? He asks as we pull out. Like I've been opened up and stapled back together. He almost smiles. That's medically accurate. We talk about small things on the ride, a project at work, a client deadline that moved. He doesn't ask about my family. I don't offer. The car smells like coffee and something clean. When we arrive at my building, he helps me up the stairs, slowly, one step at a time. My stitches pull with each one. He carries my bag without being asked and waits as I find my keys. I unlock the door, push it open. The smell hits first. Old food, stale air. 4 days of neglect packed into 600 square feet. And there, on the couch, Derek. Derek is sprawled across the cushions, phone in one hand, remote in the other. The TV is blaring a game show. There are beer cans on the coffee table. 4 of them. A pizza box on the floor, lid open, one dried-out slice left. He hears the door and turns his head. Sees me, hunched, hand pressed against my side, still in the wrinkled clothes Sarah brought to the hospital. Nice of you to finally come home, he says. Flat, bored, like I've been at the grocery store. Quit faking it and get dinner on the table this second. I stand in the doorway. I don't cry. I don't gasp. I just look at him. Then Derek's eyes shift. Past my shoulder. His jaw loosens. Adrian steps into the frame of the doorway behind me. 6'1", button down, the kind of posture that belongs in a boardroom. He's holding my hospital bag in one hand. The discharge paperwork is visible, poking out the top, the hospital logo bright against the white paper. The apartment goes quiet except for the TV. Derek's mouth opens, closes, opens again. Who's this? I don't answer him. I don't introduce Adrian. I don't explain. Instead, I walk past Derek, slowly, because fast isn't an option, and into the kitchen. I look at the sink, plates crusted with food, a pot with something blackened inside, a glass with a dried ring of milk. 4 days. He couldn't wash a single plate. I turn back to the living room. Derek is still staring at Adrian. Adrian is still standing in the doorway, expression unreadable, watching everything. 4 days, I say. My voice is calm, quieter than I expected. You couldn't wash a single plate. Derek swallows. The TV chatters on. Nobody moves. I move through the apartment because I have to. My bedroom is at the end of the hall. Every step is a guided tour I didn't plan. The trash can by the kitchen overflows. Banana peels, empty chip bags, foil wrappers. The recycling bin is untouched. Next to the fridge, a grocery bag I packed before the hospital. The chicken inside has gone bad, still sealed in its tray, leaking something brown onto the counter. The hallway has Derek's shoes kicked against the wall. 3 pairs, a hoodie on the floor, a damp towel hanging off the bathroom door handle. My bedroom door is closed, exactly how I left it. I open it. Everything inside is neat. My bed made, my desk cleared, a small lamp. The blue tabbed folder Sarah brought back sits in the drawer, right where I asked her to leave it. The contrast is obscene. My room looks like a different apartment. Adrian sees it all. I know because I hear his footsteps slow as he sets my bag on the bed. He doesn't comment on the dishes. He doesn't comment on the smell. But his jaw tightens. Just once, just barely. And I catch it. Back in the living room, Derek's space tells its own story. He's turned the couch into a bedroom. Blankets, pillows, a gaming controller tangled in the sheets. A large TV mounted to the wall, a TV I didn't buy, hooked up to a console I didn't buy, running electricity I pay for. This is what 4 years of just a few months looks like. One person living, one person paying. Adrian stands near the kitchen counter now, arms folded, and says nothing. He doesn't need to. The apartment has already said everything. I sit down at the kitchen table, open the top drawer, and pull out the lease. Derek has recalculated. I can see it in his eyes, the way they flick from me to Adrian and back, the way his shoulders shift. He doesn't know who Adrian is, but he knows this. The man carries himself like someone whose opinion matters. And Derek, for all his laziness, has always been good at reading a room when it threatens him. Hey, sis. His voice changes. Lighter. Warmer. A version of Derek I haven't heard in years. I was just messing around. You know me. Stupid jokes. Sit down, relax. I'll order us a pizza. He actually stands up, brushes crumbs off his shirt, extends a hand toward Adrian. Thanks for bringing her home, man. Really appreciate it. Family's been worried sick about her. Adrian looks at the hand, then at Derek. He doesn't take it, just gives a short nod, the kind that acknowledges someone exists without agreeing to anything they've said. Derek's hand drops. The smile falters. I don't watch the performance any longer. I sit at the kitchen table, the same table where I've eaten 1,000 meals I cooked for 2 people, and I open the folder from the drawer. The lease agreement. 2 pages. Dated 4 years ago, renewed annually. 1 name on the tenant line. Derek glances over and sees the papers. Something in his expression shifts, from performance to confusion. What are you doing? He asks. The warm voice is already thinning. I flatten the lease on the table, smooth out the creases. I don't look up. Sit down, Derek. He laughs, nervous, not amused. Come on, Stell. What is this? Sit down. He sits, slowly, like a man who's just realized the room he's in has gotten smaller. Adrian stays where he is, watching, saying nothing. I place my finger on the line that matters. Tenant name, 1 name, mine. This is the lease for this apartment, I say. Signed by me, renewed by me every year for 4 years. My name, my signature, my social security number. Derek shifts in his seat. Yeah, and? You're not on it. You were never on it. Mom said, Mom doesn't own this apartment. She doesn't rent this apartment. She doesn't pay for this apartment. I do. He opens his mouth. I keep going. You don't pay rent, Derek. You've never paid rent. Not 1 month in 4 years. You don't pay utilities. You don't pay for internet. You don't buy groceries. I have every bank statement that proves it. His eyes dart to Adrian, then back to me. His foot bounces under the table. So what? He says, voice rising. You're kicking me out? After everything? I fold my hands on the lease. My stitches pull. I ignore them. I'm giving you 30 days notice. That's the legal requirement for a month-to-month occupant in this state. I'm giving you the full period. You can't be serious. 30 days. That's not a negotiation. That's a courtesy. Derek's face reddens. He pushes back from the table, the chair scraping hard against the floor. For a second, he just stands there, hands clenched, chest heaving. Then he pulls out his phone. Fine, he says. Fine, I'm calling Mom. He punches the number and puts it on speaker. Whether to intimidate me or because he needs backup, I don't know. The dial tone fills the kitchen. Thin, sharp, ringing between the unwashed plates and the stale air. Pamela Anderson picks up on the second ring. Derek? What's wrong? He looks at me. Tell her, Stella. Tell Mom what you're doing. I lean forward. Hi, Mom. Mom's voice hardens the instant she hears mine. Stella, what's going on? Derek says you're threatening to throw him out. I'm not threatening. I'm notifying. You can't do that. He's your brother. He's an adult who's lived in my apartment for 4 years without paying a dime. He's going through a rough patch. Mom, I almost died 4 days ago. That pauses her. Half a second. No one came to the hospital, I continue. You didn't visit. Derek didn't call. Not once. And the first thing he said when I walked through my own door, still in pain, still weak, was quit faking it and get dinner on the table. The speaker crackles with silence. Derek won't look at me. He stares at the phone between us like it might save him. You're exaggerating, Mom says finally. Derek told me it was just a stomach bug. You were only gone a few days. I look at Adrian. He's standing near the kitchen counter, arms at his sides. He doesn't nod. He doesn't signal. He just meets my eyes and holds them, steady, present. I look back at the phone. He told you it was a stomach bug? That's what he said. It was a ruptured appendix, Mom. Emergency surgery. The surgeon said another few hours and I would have gone septic. This time the silence is longer. I hear something shift on Mom's end. A chair, maybe. Or her weight. Derek, she says slowly. You told me she had a stomach ache. Derek's jaw flexes. He says nothing. And there it is. A crack in the wall they built together. A tiny fissure where the light gets in. Mom's been operating on Derek's version of reality. And Derek's version just collapsed. Mom, I say, we need to talk. About all of it. I'm standing in my own kitchen, stitches still pulling, phone on speaker, and my mother is telling me I'm exaggerating about nearly dying. If you've ever had someone minimize your pain to protect the person who caused it, you know exactly how this feels. Hit that subscribe button and drop a comment. Have you ever been the one holding everything together while everyone else just watched? I need to know I'm not the only one. Because what I say next to my mother, I've been holding it in for 4 years. I keep my voice level. Not because I'm calm, but because falling apart is a luxury I can't afford right now. Let me tell you what's actually been happening, Mom, since we're all here. Derek shifts. Adrian doesn't move. In 4 years, I've paid every month of rent on this apartment, $1,100 a month. That's $52,800. Derek's contribution, 0. The speaker is silent. You told me Derek was sending you $400 a month for family expenses. He told me he never gave you a dime. Somebody lied. Maybe both of you. Derek's foot stops bouncing. I send you $300 a month. I've sent it every month since I got my first paycheck. $14,400. What family expenses, Mom? What exactly has that money been used for? I hear her breathing. Unsteady. No tears yet. She's recalculating too. Utilities, I continue. Internet, groceries, cleaning supplies, all me. Roughly another $19,000 over 4 years. Add it up and you get somewhere above $86,000, paid by a college student and an intern, for a grown man who can't wash his own dishes. Stella, Mom starts. Family doesn't keep score like that. You're right. I look at her name on my phone screen. A family doesn't do this to each other at all. The words land. Even Derek flinches. Mom switches tactics. Her voice gets sharp. You're saying all this in front of a stranger? You want to embarrass your family? I'm not embarrassing this family, Mom. I pause. I'm describing it. Through the speaker, I hear her breath catch. And for the first time in 4 years, Pamela Anderson doesn't have a comeback ready. The silence stretches out like a held breath. Derek stares at the table. Adrian stands still. The kitchen smells like rot and reckoning. Mom's voice cracks through the speaker, sharp, territorial. Who's there? Who's listening to my family's business? Derek mutters. Some guy. He drove her home. What guy? Stella. Who was in that room with you? I don't answer. Adrian does. He steps forward, just one step, enough to close the distance between the counter and the table, and speaks clearly enough for the phone to pick him up. Ma'am, my name is Adrian Holt. I drove Stella home from the hospital today because nobody in her family came to pick her up. I've been here about 15 minutes, and what I've seen and heard is deeply concerning. Dead silence. Even the TV seems quieter. Mom's voice drops. This is a private family matter, sir. I understand that, ma'am. He doesn't argue, doesn't elaborate, just lets the sentence sit. Derek stands up, chest puffed. Look, man, this is family business. You don't get a say here. Adrian doesn't respond to Derek, doesn't even look at him. Instead, he turns to me. His voice is steady, without a trace of drama. Stella, do you want me to stay? One question. No pressure, no agenda. Yes, I say. Please. Derek throws his hands up. Great. Perfect. Bring the whole neighborhood in. I ignore him. Through the phone, I hear Mom's breathing. Heavy, rapid, the sound of someone losing control of a conversation she expected to dominate. Then Adrian says one more thing. Just to me. Quiet, but clear enough that the phone picks it up too. What he said to you when you walked in, that's not normal. You know that, right? I've known it for 4 years, but hearing someone else say it out loud, someone with no stake, no history, no guilt, is like a window opening in a room I forgot had walls. Mom says very quietly, I'm coming over there. Something snaps in Derek. I see it happen. The exact moment the performance runs out of fuel and all that's left is the real thing underneath. You know what? He's pacing now, pointing at me. You want to play this game? Fine. But if you kick me out, I'll trash this place. I swear, Stella, I'll break every dish in that cabinet. The words hang in the air, not a bluff, a threat, spoken clearly, in front of a witness. That would be destruction of my property, I say, with a witness standing right there. Derek's eyes go to Adrian. Adrian has his phone in his hand, not pointed at Derek, not recording. He's dialing, calmly, the way someone calls to check a reservation. What? What are you doing? Derek says. Calling the non-emergency police line, Adrian says. Just as a precaution. No one's in danger. Derek's bravado collapses like wet cardboard. You're calling the cops on me? She's calling the cops on her own brother? She didn't call anyone, Adrian says, still holding the phone. You just threatened to destroy her apartment, in front of me. Derek's mouth works. Nothing comes out. Then, and I don't expect this, his eyes fill, not with remorse, with fear. Raw, uncomplicated fear. Where am I supposed to go? His voice cracks. Not a performance this time. I don't have anywhere. For a moment, something in my chest tightens. This is still my brother, the kid who built blanket forts with me, the teenager who walked me to the bus stop in 7th grade. But the man standing in front of me hasn't been that person in a very long time. That's not my problem to solve anymore, Derek. He stares at me, then at the floor. Then he sits back down and says nothing. The apartment is very, very quiet. The lock clicks 20 minutes later. Sarah steps through the door in her hospital scrubs, lavender top, white sneakers scuffed at the toes, hair pulled back, dark circles under her eyes. She's come straight from a 12-hour shift and a 3-car pileup, and she still came. She scans the room in 2 seconds flat. Derek on the couch, face blotchy. Adrian near the counter, phone in his pocket now. Me at the kitchen table, lease papers spread out, one hand resting on my side. What did I miss? She says. I give her the short version. Derek's demand, the phone call, Mom's lie, the threat. Sarah nods, slowly, like she's been waiting for this briefing for 4 years. She sets a folder on the table next to mine. Brought your discharge papers, she says, and I printed out the tenant rights summary for our state, just in case. I almost laugh. Sarah, who planned everything. Sarah, who never pushed me to act but always made sure I'd have what I needed when I finally did. Derek looks at her from the couch. You're in on this too? Sarah doesn't flinch. I'm not against you, Derek. I'm for Stella. He doesn't have an answer for that. Neither do I, for a different reason. Adrian catches my eye. He tilts his head slightly toward the door. A silent question. Do you still need me? You can go if you need to, I tell him. Thank you. For everything. He nods. Call if anything escalates. He means it. Not as a gesture, but as a fact. Then he walks out and closes the door behind him quietly. 3 down to 2. Me and Sarah on one side of the kitchen table. Derek alone on the other. And Mom, 40 minutes away, driving toward us at a speed I can only imagine. She arrives in 43 minutes. I know because I watched the clock on the microwave the entire time. The knock is sharp. 3 raps, no pause. Sarah opens the door. Mom steps in wearing a coat thrown over pajamas. Slippers. She drove here in slippers. Her eyes sweep the room. Sarah in scrubs, me at the table, the lease papers, the bank statements I've pulled from my desk drawer in the time since she called. Then she lands on the apartment itself. The dishes, the trash, the stale air. My daughter, she says, and her voice is already performing, is being manipulated by outsiders against her own family. Sarah folds her arms but says nothing. No one manipulated me, Mom, I say from the table. I decided. She ignores that. Points at the living room, the overflowing trash, the beer cans, Derek's blanket fort on the couch. So he's a little messy. That's what brothers are. You're overreacting. Mrs. Anderson, Sarah says, steady and quiet. The dishes in that sink are from 4 days ago. Stella was in the hospital having emergency surgery. Mom blinks, recalibrates, tries a new angle. You want to destroy this family over some dirty plates? This isn't about dishes, Mom. I pull out a chair. Sit down. She doesn't sit. She stands in the center of the kitchen like she's holding court, coat still on, purse clutched against her chest. Her eyes land on the bank statements spread across the table. What is all this? She says. The truth, I say, in numbers. I see her throat move. She's swallowing something. Pride, maybe, or fear. She looks at Derek, who's been silent on the couch since she arrived, knees pulled up, face turned toward the dark window. He doesn't meet her eyes. Slowly, like it costs her something, Mom sits. I spread the statements flat. 6 pages. Highlighted lines. I didn't do this for show. I did it in the hospital, in bed, on day 3, with Sarah's laptop and a yellow highlighter she borrowed from the nurse's station. In 4 years, I begin, I've paid $52,800 in rent. Alone. Mom's eyes flick to the highlighted rows. She doesn't touch the paper. I've sent you $14,400 for what you called a family fund. Her fingers tighten on her purse strap. Utilities, groceries, internet, cleaning supplies, another $19,000, roughly, all documented, all from my account. I let the number settle. Total, over $86,000, from a student and an intern, while Derek paid nothing. Mom's voice is smaller now. Family doesn't do accounting, Stella. You're right, I say. A family doesn't do this to each other at all. Same words I said on the phone. But face to face, they hit harder. I watch them land, the way her chin dips, the way her fingers go still. I had to work double shifts, she starts. I know, you sacrificed. I've never denied that. But at some point, you turned that sacrifice into a blank check, and I've been paying it for 4 years. She reaches for the statements. Sarah, sitting beside me, gently places her hand flat on the stack. Those are Stella's documents, Mrs. Anderson. Mom pulls her hand back like the paper burned her. She stares at Sarah, then at me. $86,000, I say. And you called me selfish for wanting 1 plate washed. The kitchen is silent. The refrigerator hums. Somewhere outside, a car passes, headlights sweeping briefly across the ceiling. Derek hasn't moved from the couch. Mom sits across from me, coat still on, and for the first time, she has nothing to say. She tries everything. I watch the strategies cycle like a slot machine, each one spinning up, landing wrong, replaced by the next. First, guilt. I sacrificed my entire life for you two. Everything I had went to this family. You did sacrifice, I say. And then you weaponized it. Her mouth opens, closes, spins again. Second, deflection. Well, if it was so bad, why didn't you say something sooner? I did. Every time I brought it up, you cried. And I stopped. Because that's what you taught me. Your tears end the conversation. Her eyes go glassy. She blinks hard, fights it. She knows, maybe for the first time, that tears won't work in this room tonight. Third, family loyalty. Brothers and sisters help each other. That's what family does. Name one thing Derek has done for me. One thing. She looks at Derek. He's staring at the floor. She looks back at me. Nothing. The slot machine runs out of combinations. Then she plays her last card. She turns to where Adrian was standing, but Adrian is gone. So she turns to Sarah instead. You see how she treats her mother? You see this? Sarah doesn't hesitate. I see a woman who nearly died, sitting in her own apartment, asking to be treated with basic respect. That's what I see, Mrs. Anderson. Mom's lips press into a thin line. She folds her arms, unfolds them, puts her hands in her lap. She stops, swallows. I didn't think it was that bad. It's not an apology. It's barely an admission. But it's the most honest thing she's said all night. The kitchen feels different now. Not warm, but less suffocating. Like someone cracked a window. I don't push for more. I don't need her to break. I just need her to listen. Mom, here's what's going to happen. I stand up, slowly. My stitches protest. Sarah's hand comes to my elbow, not pulling, just steadying. Derek has 30 days to move out. That's the legal minimum, and I'm giving him every one of them. Not less, not more. Derek lifts his head from the couch. His eyes are red, but he's listening. The $300 a month I've been sending you stops today, I say, turning to Mom. That transfer ends tonight. She flinches. Barely, but I catch it. If either of you contacts me to guilt me, threaten me, or send other relatives to pressure me into changing my mind, I will go no contact. Not as a punishment, as a boundary. The word sits in the air like a stone dropped into still water. Derek, I say. He looks at me. You're 27 years old. You've had 4 years of free rent, free food, and free labor. I need you to figure out the next chapter on your own. Where am I supposed to go? He whispers. Mom's house, a friend's couch, a room you rent with your own paycheck. That part isn't mine to solve. He looks at Mom. Mom looks at her hands. Stella, she says. And for once, it's not an accusation, just my name. Can I still call you? When you're ready to talk to me like an adult who respects my boundaries, yes, but not to guilt me, not to ask for money, not to advocate for Derek. Those conversations are over. She nods. Once, small. Then she stands, buttons her coat, and walks to the door. Derek follows, carrying nothing. He'll be back for his things, but not tonight. Mom pauses at the threshold, turns. You'll regret this, she says, but her voice shakes, and it sounds more like a prayer than a warning. The door closes. The lock clicks. The apartment is mine. $86,000. 4 years of cooking, cleaning, paying every bill. And the first thing my brother says when I come home from surgery is, make me dinner. If that doesn't make your blood boil, I don't know what will. Drop a comment right now. What would you have said to Derek in that moment? I really want to know. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. Because what happens over the next 30 days? It gets worse before it gets better. Sarah heats up soup from a can she found in the back of my pantry, the one cabinet Derek never opened because it didn't have chips in it. She pours it into 2 mugs because the clean bowls are in my bedroom. We sit on the couch. My couch. The cushions still smell like Derek's cologne and stale snacks. Tomorrow I'll wash the covers. Tonight, I don't care. How are you feeling? Sarah asks. She means the stitches and the everything else. Like I've been carrying a backpack full of bricks, I say. And someone just cut the straps. She reaches over and squeezes my hand. Doesn't say anything. Doesn't need to. After she finishes her soup, she helps me change my bandage. Her nurse hands are gentle and efficient. She's done this 100 times, but never on me. When she smooths the adhesive down, I flinch, and she pauses. Sorry. It's fine. It just catches. She stays the night, sets up the air mattress in my room because the couch is enemy territory for now. Before she turns off the light, she looks at me. Stell, you did the right thing. I know. No, I mean, you really did. I've been wanting to say something for years, but it had to come from you. Why? Because if I'd pushed, you would have felt like one more person trying to control your life. I think about that as the room goes dark. She's right. If Sarah had forced this 2 years ago, I would have resented her. It had to be mine. I lie in bed and listen. No TV blaring through the wall. No heavy footsteps in the kitchen at midnight. No beer cans clinking. Just the radiator, the distant hum of traffic, and my own breathing. I haven't heard my own apartment this quiet in 4 years. It sounds like freedom. It also sounds a little like grief. Day 3 after the confrontation, the messages start arriving like clockwork. Aunt Helen, 8:14 a.m. Stella, your mother is devastated. Derek is your blood. Think about what you're doing. Uncle Robert, 10:30 a.m. Family sticks together, kiddo. Don't let pride ruin something you can't get back. Grandma Joyce, 2 p.m. Call your mother. She's been crying for 2 days. I read each one. I don't respond immediately. I sit at my kitchen table, clean now, because I spent yesterday scrubbing it myself. And I think about what Mom told them versus what actually happened. When Aunt Helen calls that evening, I pick up. Stella, honey, you can't throw your brother out on the street. Your mother is worried sick. Aunt Helen, how many years is enough? 4 wasn't? He just needs a little more time. Did Mom tell you I was in the hospital last week? Pause. She said you had a stomach ache and were being dramatic. I close my eyes. Of course she did. I had emergency surgery for a ruptured appendix, Aunt Helen. I was in the hospital for 4 days. Nobody came. Nobody called. And the first thing Derek said when I got home was to make him dinner. Long silence. I hear her set something down. A cup, maybe. She didn't tell us any of that. She told you the version that made me the villain. Ask her for the full story before calling me again. Aunt Helen doesn't argue. She says she will. And to her credit, she calls back 2 hours later with a different voice entirely. Stella, I'm sorry. I didn't know. She told all of us it was just a stomach bug, that you were overreacting. I know. That's how it's always worked. She doesn't call again to pressure me. Neither does Uncle Robert. Even Grandma Joyce goes quiet. The narrative is unraveling, one relative at a time. Day 10. Derek texts ahead, a first. Coming to get my stuff, around noon. I text back. Sarah will be here. He doesn't argue. He shows up at 12:15 in a borrowed truck. He looks different. Not better exactly, but smaller. Like something's deflated behind his ribs. He's wearing jeans and a clean shirt, which is more effort than I've seen him make in months. Sarah sits at the kitchen table with a book, present but not confrontational. I stand by the hallway, arms folded, watching. Derek packs silently for 20 minutes, clothes in garbage bags, same as the day he moved in, gaming console into a box, his TV off the wall, leaving 2 dark holes in the drywall where the mount was. When he's done, he stands in the middle of the living room, garbage bags at his feet, and looks at me. Stell. His voice is rough. I know I messed up. Give me 3 more months. I'll find a job. I'll pay you back. You've had 4 years, Derek. I know that. But what? He looks at the floor, at the holes in the wall, at Sarah who hasn't looked up from her book. I just thought things would always stay the same, he says quietly. You didn't think I'd actually stand up for myself. He doesn't deny it. I love you, Derek. I mean it. But I can't set myself on fire to keep you warm anymore. He blinks hard, picks up his bags. At the door he pauses, hand on the frame, and for a second I think he's going to say something. An apology maybe, or something cruel. But he just nods once. Then the door shuts. Sarah turns a page. You okay? Getting there. Day 25. My phone rings at 7 in the evening. Mom. I let it ring 3 times. Then I pick up. Stella. Her voice is different. No edge, no performance. Just tired. Hi, Mom. Derek moved back in with me. He's been here since that night. I know. It's a lot, having him here full time. I don't say I told you so. I don't need to. She's living it now. I didn't realize, she says slowly, like each word costs her something, how much you were doing, the cooking, the cleaning, the bills, all of it. I didn't. She stops, takes a breath. I thought you were fine, Stella. I thought you could handle it. You've always been the strong one. I am strong, Mom. That's why I survived. But it shouldn't have been a survival situation. Silence. I hear her kitchen in the background, a faucet running maybe. Derek's voice, muffled somewhere in the house. The money I sent you, I say. The $300 a month. What was it actually for? More silence, then very quietly. My rent. For my apartment. I was short every month. I used what you sent to cover the gap. There it is. No family fund. No shared expenses. Just my mother, too proud to admit she was struggling, turning her daughter into a silent subsidy. I'm sorry, she says. The words land unevenly, like she's never said them to me before. Maybe she hasn't. I'm not punishing you, Mom. I'm protecting myself. I know. A pause. Can I call you? Sometimes? When you're ready to talk to me like someone who respects my boundaries. Not to guilt me. Not to ask for money. Not to speak for Derek. Okay. Okay. We hang up. I sit with the phone in my hand for a long time, looking at nothing. It's not forgiveness. Not yet. But the door isn't locked. Day 30. Derek's belongings are gone. Every last garbage bag, every cord, every stray sock behind the couch. The wall has 2 holes where his TV was, and there's a faded rectangle on the carpet where his shoes used to pile up. Evidence of occupation. Nothing more. Sarah comes over with a spackle kit and a 6-pack of sparkling water. We fix the holes, we mop the floors, we scrub the kitchen, not the way I used to, fast and resentful at midnight, but slowly, with music playing from my phone. I rearrange the living room. My desk goes by the window now. A second-hand lamp from the thrift store on the corner. A small plant Sarah brought. A pothos, because she says, they're impossible to kill, just like you. I set up autopay for the bills, something I never did before because managing everything manually felt like the only control I had. Now I let go of it. The rent comes out on the 1st, electric on the 15th, groceries budgeted weekly. The $300 I used to send Mom stays in my account. It's the first surplus I've had in 4 years. I don't celebrate. I just look at the number and feel something I haven't felt since I was 19, breathing room. That night I cook dinner, pasta with garlic and olive oil, nothing complicated. I eat it at the kitchen table, alone, on a plate I washed myself, in an apartment that smells like lemon cleaner instead of neglect. It's quiet, not the silence of loneliness, the silence of ownership. My phone buzzes, a text from Sarah. How's the first night as a free woman? I look around my apartment. My clean, quiet, mine apartment. It feels like home, I type back. First time in 4 years. I go back to work on a Monday. 2 weeks of medical leave, every day accounted for, every email answered on time from my hospital bed, and then my newly quiet apartment. Nobody at the office knows what happened. Adrian hasn't said a word. When I pass him in the hallway, he gives me the same professional nod he gives everyone. No special treatment, no loaded glances. I appreciate that more than he knows. In my first week back, I closed 2 overdue client reconciliations and draft a proposal for streamlining the intake process. I sleep 7 hours a night now. I eat breakfast. My hands don't shake when the phone rings. At the end of the second week, Adrian emails me. Meeting at 3, my office. Bring your portfolio. I sit across from his desk at 3 o'clock, folder in my lap, expecting a performance review. Your internship contract ends in 6 weeks, he says. I know. He slides a paper across the desk. A full-time offer. Operations coordinator, benefits, salary. Start date the Monday after my internship ends. This isn't charity, he says before I can speak. Your output has been consistently above your cohort since month 2. I flagged you for this position before your leave. I read the offer. The salary is modest but real, enough to live on with room to save, health insurance, paid time off, things I've never had. Thank you, I say. And I mean the job, but also the ride home. The silence he kept, the one sentence in my kitchen that cracked 4 years of denial wide open. He nods. Thank you for the good work. That night I call Mom. A short call. I got offered a full-time position. Congratulations, Stella. No guilt, no pivot, just 2 words. Small. But after everything, small feels enormous. 2 months after the night everything changed, I get a text from Derek. It's short. No preamble, no performance. Got a job, warehouse, part-time, but they said full-time is possible if I show up. I read it twice. Show up. That's the bar now. And for the first time in a very long time, he's clearing it. I hear from Mom in pieces, not because she calls often, but because Aunt Helen checks in now, gently, carefully, the way someone tends a garden they neglected. Through her, I learn that Derek is sleeping in his old bedroom at Mom's place. He helps with the trash on Wednesdays. He washes his own plates. I also learn that Mom is tired. Not the performative exhaustion she used to deploy on the phone, the real kind. The kind that comes from living with the consequences of your own choices. She's doing Derek's laundry, cooking his meals, listening to his complaints about the warehouse. All the things I used to do. Now hers again. I don't feel satisfaction about that, but I don't feel guilt either. That's new. Derek's text sits in my messages for 2 days before I respond. Not because I'm punishing him, because I'm figuring out what to say. I settle on, "That's good, Derek. I hope it works out." No exclamation point, no heart emoji, no "I'm proud of you," because that would be taking ownership of his progress, and I've spent too long carrying things that aren't mine. He doesn't text back. That's fine. I think about the brother who built blanket forts, the kid who chased the ice cream truck so I wouldn't miss it. I wonder if that person is still in there, underneath the entitlement and the fear. I hope so. But finding him isn't my job anymore. It's his. Saturday morning. Sarah and I sit in a coffee shop 3 blocks from my apartment, a place I've walked past 100 times but never entered because I was always rushing home to cook, or clean, or pay something. She orders a lavender latte. I get black coffee. She raises an eyebrow. "I'm trying new things," I say. She laughs. "Stell, black coffee is the opposite of trying new things. New for me, I always made what Derek wanted." She sets her cup down, folds her hands. I know this posture. It means she's about to say something she's been sitting on. "You know I almost said something to you 100 times. I know. Sophomore year, when he ate the groceries you just bought and you cried in my car. Junior year, when your mom called you selfish on speakerphone. Last Christmas, when you left your own apartment to sleep at my place because Derek had friends over and they wouldn't leave. I remember all of it. So why didn't I push harder?" I look at her. "Because it had to be my decision." She nods slowly. "If I'd pushed, you would have felt like one more person trying to run your life. And I didn't want to be that." "You weren't." "What was I then?" I think about the discharge papers, the tenant rights printout, the air mattress in my room, the soup in a mug. 4 years of showing up without forcing my hand. "You were the person who held the door open," I say, "while I figured out how to walk through it myself." Her eyes get bright. She blinks hard, takes a sip of her latte to cover it. "That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me." "Don't get used to it." We both laugh. And for the first time in as long as I can remember, the laughter doesn't feel like a break from something. It feels like the main thing. 3 months since the night I stood in my kitchen with stitches in my side and a lease in my hand. I'm an operations coordinator now. I have business cards with my name on them. I've led 2 project meetings and 1 client presentation. My supervisor, a woman named Janet, because Adrian shifted to a different division, told me last week that I'm the most organized hire they've had in years. I didn't tell her it's because I spent 4 years running a household on no budget and no sleep. Some skills transfer. My apartment looks different now. There's a rug in the living room, a deep green thing I found at a weekend market, a bookshelf I assembled myself, filled with novels I'm finally reading, a candle on the kitchen counter that smells like cedar and orange. I cook when I want to. Sometimes that's a full meal. Sometimes it's cereal at 9 p.m. The point is, it's my choice. Nobody bangs on a table. Nobody calls to complain. Nobody acts like my existence is an inconvenience unless it's producing food. Mom and I talk every 2 weeks. The calls are short, 10 minutes, sometimes 15. She tells me about her garden. I tell her about work. We don't talk about the $86,000. We don't talk about Derek's years on my couch. There's a silent agreement that those subjects exist on the other side of a line neither of us is ready to cross. It's not perfect, but it's honest. And honest is a currency this family hasn't traded in before. My scar has faded. A thin white line, low on the right side, hidden by most of my clothes. I could forget it's there. But I don't try to. It's a reminder. My body told me the truth before my mind was ready to hear it. The least I can do is listen now. A Thursday evening. I come home from work, keys in one hand, bag in the other, already thinking about what's in the fridge. There's a box outside my door. No label, no return address, just a plain cardboard box, taped shut, sitting on the welcome mat I bought last month. The first welcome mat this apartment has ever had. I bring it inside, set it on the kitchen table, cut the tape with a butter knife. Inside, wrapped in newspaper, is a set of dishes. 4 plates, 4 bowls. Simple white with a thin blue border. The kind of classic sturdy set you'd find in a farmhouse kitchen. I know instantly who sent them. Not because there's a note, there isn't. But because these dishes look exactly like the ones my grandmother used to serve Sunday dinner on when I was small. Before the divorce. Before things got complicated. Before Mom stopped being someone who set a table and became someone who set traps. Mom remembered. Out of everything, the arguments, the silence, the numbers, she remembered the dishes I loved as a kid. I sit at my table and hold one of the plates. It's heavier than it looks. Solid. I don't call her. Not tonight. Instead, I wash each piece by hand. Dry them with a clean towel. Place them in the cabinet that used to hold Derek's protein powder and energy drinks. Then I cook dinner. Chicken with rosemary. A salad with the good olive oil. I eat on one of the new plates, at my kitchen table, in my quiet apartment. It's not forgiveness. Not yet. Maybe not for a long time. But it's something. A small, wordless gesture that says, I see you. I remember what mattered. I eat slowly. I don't wash the plate right away. I just let it sit there, on the table, looking like it belongs. Because it does. I run into Adrian at a quarterly all-hands meeting. Different division now, but same building. He's in a suit, charcoal, no tie, presenting logistics projections for the Southeast region. Confident, measured. The same man who stood in my kitchen and said 4 words that rewired my brain. After the meeting, we end up at the same coffee station in the break room. He pours a cup. I pour a cup. We stand side by side for a moment without saying anything, and it's not awkward. It's just quiet. Heard you got the coordinator spot, he says. Couple months ago. Janet says you're sharp. He takes a sip. Not surprised. I stir my coffee. There are things I want to say. Thank you for the ride, for staying, for that one sentence that cracked something open in me. But the words feel too big for a break room, and Adrian isn't the kind of person who needs a speech. I stopped carrying weight that wasn't mine, I say instead. He looks at me, nods once. That's the hardest thing to put down. He doesn't ask about Derek, doesn't ask about Mom, doesn't reference the apartment or the dishes or the phone on speaker. That night exists between us as a shared fact, not a bond, not a debt, just something we both saw. Good work on the intake proposal, by the way, he says as he turns to leave. Thanks. Keep going. 2 words. He means the job. He means everything else, too. I stand in the break room after he leaves, holding my coffee, looking out the window at the parking lot. A year ago, I was in this building holding my side, pretending I was fine, racing home to cook for someone who wouldn't thank me. Now I'm standing here because I earned it. Not because someone let me. The coffee tastes better than it should. It's a Tuesday evening. The apartment is quiet. The candle on the counter, cedar and orange, flickers against the window glass. Outside, the sun is going down over the rooftops of my ordinary little neighborhood, painting everything gold and long-shadowed. I'm sitting on the couch. My couch. Not the same cushions Derek claimed. I replaced those last month. New covers, new throw blanket. A pillow Sarah gave me that says no in cursive, which she thought was hilarious, and which I pretend to hate, but actually love. I pull my knees up and look around. The bookshelf, the rug, the dishes in the cabinet. Blue-bordered, clean, mine. The kitchen table where I laid out 4 years of receipts and said, enough. The hallway where Adrian stood, holding my hospital bag, seeing everything. People say blood is thicker than water, but they leave out the rest of that phrase, the original one. The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. The bonds you choose are stronger than the ones you're born into. I didn't lose my family that night. I lost the version of family that was draining me. And I found something I'd been missing for a long time. The right to take up space in my own life. If you're standing where I stood, stitches still pulling, someone shouting at you to serve them when you can barely stand, I want you to hear this. You are allowed to sit down. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to choose yourself. Not because you're selfish, because you matter, because the person holding everything together deserves to be held too. The candle flickers, the apartment hums, and for the first time in a very long time, I'm not waiting for someone to knock. I'm just here, home. That's my story. If you made it this far, you already know why I had to tell it. Now I have a question for you. If you could go back and set one boundary you were too afraid to set, what would it be? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. And if this story reminded you of someone who needs to hear it, share it with them. Sometimes one story is all it takes. Check the description for more stories like this one. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? I'll see you in the next one.